Welcome back. Once again, my name is Ekorhi-Robinson, your effective communication trainer and coach. So, why stories? Right? Why tell stories? Stories are a very easy way of connecting with people. Okay? Every human being has a natural tendency to want to know more. Okay? There's this natural tendency to crave more information. And one interesting way to keep people coming back for more is through storytelling. Being an effective storyteller means you don't dole out or you don't dish out a boring content, okay, when passing your message across. So stories have a beautiful way of creating pictures in the minds of your ideal audience. How effective you are also determines that, okay? Someone can tell a story and not everyone is attentive up until the end of the story. And someone else can take that same story and tell it in very illustrative, dramatic ways, graphic, terminologies and representations, that at the end of that storytelling, people would think the story just began. Okay? So storytelling is a beautiful way of keeping your ideal audience coming back for more. It's a beautiful way to connect. Think back and ask yourself, what stories have I been told? What stories have I heard? What stories have I read about that stand out? What made them stand out? And you would realize that stories, when effectively told, are best sellers. Majorly when you have motivational, inspirational speakers come charge you up, talk to you, or thought leaders, there is always an embedded story. Either their own personal stories, a close acquaintance story, probably a coach or a mentor's story. Something just has to be told. And what better way to tell it than in a story-like form? Okay, so storytelling is not rocket science, but it's a skill that needs to be harnessed and constantly toned so you don't go rusty, so to speak. Have you seen big brands, I wouldn't want to start calling names, advertise? What do they do with their adverts? They're telling a story. Okay? They're bringing to you the features of their product and putting it in story-like forms that you can easily relate with. When you try to sell a content or drive home a point using storytelling, you're making it more relatable for your ideal audience to grab. It will stick faster and better. That's why it is also encouraged that learning be through storytelling. It pricks that curious part of your brain and you want to stay attentive, especially when it's a very engaging story, because you don't want to miss out any juicy detail. So why stories? Basically, that's it. Stories are game changers. And you need to up your storytelling ability to be able to create massive content that sells, that resonates, that keeps your ideal audience coming back and puts you on at the front of everyone's mind. Like when they think your niche, when they think the services that you render on the broad spectrum and they want to nail down someone that will smash it, you come to mind because you're able to use anything and everything around you to tell a story. Okay? Secondly, stories not to tell. for me, there's no story that can't be told. But what I would term stories not to tell are stories that you cannot own up to tomorrow. Stories that may come back to haunt you tomorrow. Stories that when they are brought up a few weeks, a few months, or years after you have told it, you will cringe and ask yourself, did I actually spill that? So whatever story you're putting out, like I said, you should be able to own it and be ready to stand in the face of that story tomorrow and still own it. The stories not to tell are stories that you know you will be ashamed of tomorrow, you can't defend tomorrow, and is not necessarily relevant. Like, you might be hurting people if you tell that story. Okay, you might be bringing some persons down if you tell that story. Is there really any need to tell it? There's a way you can still tell it and not, nail anybody or destroy anybody's reputation, because at the end of the day, it will still come back to you. Now, it's not compulsory you take my word for it, but it's advisable you consider it. Do not tell stories that don't edify. Do not tell stories. I'm not saying that every story you have to tell has to be story with happy ending, happy ending, happy ending. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm sure you get what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, don't purposely tell stories because you want to use it to diss another person, you want to use it to bring down a particular thought leader. There are different ways to do this that you won't nail anybody, you won't be calling names, and no one will point accusing fingers at you. And that's where expertise and skills come in to storytelling. So the long and short of it is, stories that you will not own today or tomorrow and you cannot defend, then don't bother telling it. I hope that makes sense. Right? Awesome. So I would not want to make these too lengthy, so that per time, in case you can't sit down at a stretch of time, you will be able to take them in bits as they come and listen to each one as it comes and make down your notes. So we have looked at why stories not to tell, and quickly, you must be a very excellent imaginator. Like, you should be able to imagine. You should allow your imagination run wild if you want to be a superb storyteller. Yes, you can't afford to be conservative in your imaginations if you want to tell stories that sell. If you want to tell stories the easy way, you should allow yourself explore, allow your imaginations run wild and far to be able to come up with scenarios that will really depict the story that you are telling. Okay? So we'll look at how, or tools that can help you do these as we go on, and we would see how best or how much better you can become at being a very good storyteller. So I will see you in the next recording. If you have any questions, please always feel free to get back to me. We must have met somehow. So there's a connect already, there's a link. So feel free to get back to me and ask your questions. See you in the next recording. Bye for now.